We're getting ready for the heat, the qualifying race for the 8th round of the historic Formula 4 Championship at Croft. The top 10 cars have already qualified for the championship race later on this afternoon. So we look forward to seeing the rest of the grid being made up from this race. It's Rob Smith there, who you can see will start on pole position. Alongside him will be Ross Dryborough in the Worthing Implant Centre Merlin Mark 20. Andrew Wiggins will go third. He's in the Titan. He had a great day yesterday. And here therefore will start on the second row of the grid alongside the Neil Fowler Motorsport driver David Wild, who's returning to the series this weekend. Classic Team Merlin's Jeff Underwood is next up. He'll be starting in 5th position for this one. And then John Hayes Harlow will be in 6th. He had to come through the field in the championship race yesterday and did so well. Stephen Greenwood, a driver in his first season of racing, is next. And then the Belgium racer Louis Handel in the Eldon will start 8th. James Lovett up next with Dick Dixon alongside him in the Lotus. John Roberts up next, then it is the Hawk of Phil Nelson in the 114 machine, and then it's Martin Haynes, number 23, and Roger Arnold in the 55 car. Paul Unsworth, who's moved over from racing a Ferrari with the Aston Martin Owners Club, is next, and then the Eldon of Donald Laird. Mike Wiles is next in one of the many Merlins that race in the historic Formula 4 Championship, and then Rachel Arnold. 99 is Nick Arden. Then it is Royce Yersu in the only Macon on the grid, and alongside him will be the only Nike on the grid, and that is Les Beards. Alan Cook, another only car. This is the only Mallock in the field. Let's confirm the grid then for this heat for the 8th round of the historic Formula 4 Championship. Rob Smith and Ross Dryborough, the Merlins, on the front row. Row 2 for Andrew Wiggins and David Wild. Jeff Underwood and John Hayes Harlow on row 3. Stephen Greenwood, Louis Handel, James Lovett and Dick Dixon conclude the top 10. Then we have John Roberts, Phil Nelson, Martin Haynes, Roger Arnold, Paul Unsworth, Donald Laird. Then we've got Wales, Arnold, Tusting, Dix, Yersu, Beards, Cook and Thurston expecting to be there, and the cars therefore will make up the second part of the 32 car grid for the championship race later. Top 10 cars we mentioned already through into that from yesterday. The race is underway. 20 minutes, as it's always the case with the historic Formula 4 Championship. Rob Smith looking good to lead in towards Clairvaux. It's side by side for second as David Wild goes down the inside of Ross Dryborough as Wild moves into P2. He'll blow their way through Hawthorns for the first time. And up towards the chicane they will turn, they will accelerate up towards Tower Bend. We can ride on board with Ross Dryborough. He's chasing David Wild, and Wild is making a move for the race lead. He's going down the inside of Rob Smith, and he goes through. He gets a bit of a slide in the middle of the corner, as does Ross Dryborough. Rob Smith trying to come up alongside the leader now. So this is David Wild. He continues to lead though as they head into the Jim Clark S's. In second place is Rob Smith. Third is Ross Dryborough. Andrew Wiggins sits in 4th. The rest of the field then got through this really quick part of the circuit. Out of Sunny come the leaders, with David Wild still leading from Smith and Dryborough. They're getting away from Andrew Wiggins, who's having to defend from John Hayes Harlow. Involved in that trio as well with Jeff Underwood. Back at the rear of the grid as well as Alan Cook trying to work his way round the outside of Les Beard's Nike, and he makes it work into the complex, but the leaders have already completed the first lap. with David Wild leading the way, but Rob Smith is right there as they turn into Clairvaux. Their driver in P3, then Wiggins, John Hayes Harlow having to defend there from Jeff Underwood. Meanwhile, there's John Roberts and Dick Dixon involved in the dice, but we can ride on board with Rob Smith as he tries to re-challenge David Wild up towards Tower Bend. It was Tower where Wild took the lead on the last lap. Rob Smith is going to the left-hand side of the circuit. That means he's on the outside line. Wild on the inside, able to hold him off. The Neil Fowler Motorsport car of Wild. Jerry Wainwright prepared machine behind of Smith. Meanwhile, so Alan Cook has gone to the front of this trio of cars. He's got himself also ahead of Nick Arden now. And Arden under pressure because Les Beard is going to go down the inside of him into the chicane. Car's gone off there, out of Tower. And Dick Dixon's moved around the outside of John Roberts to gain a place in towards the Jim Clark S's. Can't quite work out who that is who was out over the grass. We're trying to work that out in a moment. We've got a challenge for second because Ross Driver is moving to the outside of Rob Smith, and that's allowing Andrew Wiggins to close them in. He couldn't find a way through. The car ahead of Dick Dixon is Stephen Greenwood, so he was the car off at Tower. Paul Unsworth there leading a quartet of cars with Roger Arnold close behind. Here are the leaders though, they've crossed the line again to complete another lap. And Rob Smith, under pressure from Ross Driver, is late on the brakes into Clairvaux. He tries to get back on tone with David Wild. And he's absolutely done that because out of the chicane he's alongside, he's nosing ahead. He is ahead by the time they're into the braking zone for Tower, so into the lead for Rob Smith. David Wild down to second and Ross Driver right on the gearbox of him as they exit Tower and head up towards the Jim Clark S's again. Up a gear before turning into that left-right sequence of corners. Meanwhile, back we've got a slow car there, that's Donald Laird. He looks like he's in trouble in his Eldon. So Rachel Arnold's just passed him up towards Tower. Rob Smith that leads though with Wild and Driver behind. Battle for fourth now emerging between Andrew Wiggins and John Hayes Harlow. A gap back to Jeff Underwood and James Lovett. There's been a car that's run out wide. That's Stephen Greenwood. So Dick Dixon trying to come round the outside of him, unable to do that. Then we've got a three-way battle up next, being led by John Roberts. A gap back to Martin Haynes. They've got Paul Unsworth, Roger Arnold and Mike Wales. The three-way battle continues up front. Smith, Wild and Driver as they work their way through the Clairvaux turn. This race, we'll see who starts 11th on the grid for the 8th round of the championship. And Dixon's got himself ahead of Greenwood now. Behind John Roberts. Turning his way on the 4-4 bend. The long right-hander that takes you into the chicane here at Croft. Squeezing his way down the inside there. A brave move there from Royce Yersu. And he goes through in the Macon. There's Unsworth, Arnold and Wales. That's a three-car battle a bit further back. They turn their way onto Hawthorne now as well, and past the really good crowd we have here at the Croft Nostalgia Festival. Here are the leaders are headed into Barcroft. It continues to be though the Rob Smith machine that leads from David Wild and then Ross Driver. So we have a Merlin, the two Merlins with the Lola in the middle. So Merlin, Lola, Merlin up front. They've got Titan of Andrew Wiggins in fourth position and a slightly older Merlin of John Hayes Harlow. Number 6 starting to develop between Jeff Underwood and James Lovett. The Stephen Greenwood and Dick Dixon battle continues with Greenwood back ahead. There's Yersu, Roberts and Nelson. Martin Haynes getting away from Paul Unsworth, who in turn is getting away now from Roger Arnold, who's in this battle with Mike Wales. Rob Smith goes deep into Clairvaux and he tries to carry as much speed through that corner as possible. Driver trying to get on terms with David Wild. A great battle for the lead here. Now in the slipstream is Driver, such an important part of Formula Ford 1600 racing this is, and Driver has used that to his advantage. He's gone to the left hand side of the circuit. backs the car into Tower Bend. He's gone through, he's into second place. There's number 50, that's John Roberts. He's still up ahead of the Hawk of Phil Nelson, and behind the Roger Arnold and Mike Wales dive continues. They turn their way onto Hawthorne Bend. Accelerate their way through that and onto the chicane that takes them on the long run up towards Tower. Already at the complex of the top three, Smith and Driver. The two Merlins lead the Lola of David Wild, and a change for fourth. John Hayes Harlow has got himself ahead of Andrew Wiggins. Jeff Underwood keeps himself ahead of James Lovett in the Dyson 6. Then you've got the Eldon of Louis Handel. Started by side, Dixon and Greenwood. That was Dick Dixon looking to the outside to try and gain the place. Side by side in front of the leaders. This is Les Beard and Nick Arden. They're going to be lapped and they're having this battle as well. So that could add another element into this as they turn through Hawthorne. Nick Arden goes to the left-hand side of the circuit, left the drivers through on their inside, but through the chicane. That's a one-line corner, so they can't pass Les Beard's Knight through there. Now, is this going to give Ross Driver the run he wants on Rob Smith? They're going to run side by side up towards Tower Bend. He's on the left-hand side of the circuit, so Smith potentially does the inside line here, but no Driver able to take that, so Ross Driver leads the way. Dixon and Greenwood battle continued. Greenwood round the outside, but he runs out wide. Over the gravel he goes, and Dick Dixon down the inside of the Lotus to keep ahead of the BT. Side by side action into the complex. Rachel Arnold keeping herself ahead of Alan Cook. Meanwhile, we can ride on board with her dad, who rotates at the hairpin. That's going to allow Mike Wales through. Arnold able to recover though, ahead of the battle that involves his daughter and the Mallock of Alan Cook. But down towards Clairvaux goes Roger Arnold. Trying to chase back after Mike Wales. Here is Rachel, still ahead of Alan Cook, so she was able to hold him off. Merlin and Mallock. Alan Cook also racing in the Classic Clubman's races this weekend. Watch over the grass there, dipping two wheels over the grass with Ross Driver, but he's keeping Rob Smith at bay. Meanwhile, on board we can go with Rachel Arnold, who has Alan Cook come down the inside. So Cook goes through at Tower. Coming through from the back of the grid. Into the Jim Clark Essex. Asking to get away now. The leaders though up towards Clairvaux with Driver still leading. Sets the curve there with battle of fourth continues as Andrew Wiggins looks to the inside of John Hayes Harlow, but unable to make it work there. There's Stephen Greenwood and Royce Yersus put himself ahead of Dick Dixon. Into traffic for Louis Handel. He goes down the inside, he runs out wide, he's into the gravel and he goes into the barriers. So Louis Handel out of the race there, clattering the barriers at Clairvaux. He's out the car, he's okay, which is the main thing after a heavy impact into the barriers. That's going to bring out the safety car though. So the car's all been brought under yellow flag conditions. The clear up has been completed. So the lights are out on the safety car. Ross Driver will control the pace then. And when we get to a green flag at the start and finish straight, the overtaking can continue. Through the complex they go under yellow conditions, but when they cross the line, as I mentioned, green flags will be out and we'll be back racing. And Ross Driver, he's gone out the hairpin. A good restart from him. He's put a few car lengths between himself and Rob Smith. Not very often drivers get to practice a restart like that, so a good restart it has been from Driver. Smith Wild, Hayes Harlow, Wiggins, but the battle there as Dick Dixon tries to get back past the Macon. but he wasn't able to do that. He's still trying though as they turn their way through. Porfin is up the inside, but I think he had to back out of that. Dixon still trying to come up alongside Giasu, up towards Tower Bend. He's looking to the outside for the Macon on the inside, the Lotus on the outside, and John Roberts getting himself involved in it. He's coming down the inside into Tower Bend to get ahead of Dick Dixon. Out the corner up towards Jim Clark Essex. Dixon back through on the inside. Into the complex, it's Driver that leads Smith and Wild. Hayes Harlow fourth, Wiggins in fifth, and James Lovett in sixth position. It's a battle for seventh between Siersu and Dixon. Jeff Underwood has had a spin, so he's dropped further back. Last lap board being shown to the leaders. 20 minutes has already elapsed, but with the safety car out, they've given them 2 laps to race to the flag. They go then. Smith carries really good speed through there, so he's getting himself onto the tail of Ross Driver. He's getting closer and closer to him. He goes to the right hand side of the circuit. Driver leaves a car whip which Smith uses. He's gone down the inside and he goes through. He takes the lead on the last lap. Further back, Dick Dixon still trying to gain the position. He's going up on the inside this time. John Roberts is late on the brakes. It's going to be 3 wide in towards Tower Bend, but they stay in the order they arrived in the corner in. Half a lap to go for them. Rachel Arnold trying to get herself back ahead of Alan Cook as they turn their way through the complex. And a bit further up the road, her dad Roger Arnold. He's going to make a move on Mike Wales. The 2 cars run side by side up towards Tower Bend. And on the inside, through has gone Arnold. But for the final time out of the hairpin, it'll be Rob Smith that wins. And up into second has come David Wild. Ross Driver has looped around on the last lap. So onto the podium comes John Hayes Harlow in third. Fourth for Andrew Wiggins and fifth for James Lovett, and 2 Neil Fowler cars in the top 5. In a 6th position, it's a race to the line. We'll have to check that on the result sheets because it was pretty much a dead heat between Siersu and Dixon. They had a good battle throughout the second part of that race. The rest of the field crossed the line with a race to the line there between Unsworth and Arnold by the looks of it. Let's take a look at those results, and it was Rob Smith that won the 13 lapper by 2 seconds over David Wild. John Hayes Harlow beat Andrew Wiggins with James Lovett, and it was 41 thousandths of a second that Roy Siersu beat Dick Dixon by. John Roberts was 8th. He beat the Ross Driver machine, so Ross Driver recovered to 9th. 10th was Phil Nelson. Jeff Underwood, who also spun after the safety car period, was 11th. Martin Haynes, Paul Unsworth, Roger Arnold, Mike Wales, Alan Cook, Rachel Arnold, Les Beards and Nick Arden all finishing. They will all proceed into the race later on.